All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Head. I am a senior Take Charge cat, getting ready to graduate. Very exciting. And I want to take some time today to talk to you guys about fraud and identity theft. This is part of a larger form of thinking where we want to talk about how we're protecting ourselves, both financially and also just in this new digital age. So I got some slides I'm going to run through with y'all today, just to kind of help you be a little more aware of the information you're putting out there, and we're going to try and not be vulnerable to some of these new ways people are trying to steal credit and steal identities. So first, let's define fraud. Fraud is an intentional effort to deceive another individual for personal gain. And this can result in arrests for crimes not committed, damaged financial security, tarnished credit reports, and compromised health. We've seen a lot of people actually, through the stress of like a identity theft or something like that. There are health consequences that can come from that stress. So we're talking about something very serious here. We're talking about credit damage that can last for years. We're talking about damage to like your permanent criminal record, things like that. This stuff is no joke. So we don't want to take this lightly. There's two common types of fraud. There's identity theft, when another's personal information is used without their permission. And then there's also communication scams. This is when you think of like the email asking you to hold $1 million in an account for them, or to buy these gift cards and to get reimbursed or things like that. We're seeing a lot more of these scams in the digital age, not just through email, but also through social media and things like that. So there's some common types of fraud that occur. So credit fraud, which is applying for and modifying credit, like mortgages. This is someone using your credit status or credit ID without your authorization. There's investment fraud, which is where investors will, or the people running investment funds will mislead their investors. You may have heard of things like Ponzi schemes, or maybe even a scheme that happened with this company called Enron before. But this is basically when companies are misleading their investors with false information, or making an investment promise that's too good to be true. And then there's tax fraud, which is when a scammer will either say that you like owe them, that you owe taxes when you really don't, or that you don't owe taxes when you really do. So they're getting in there and manipulating your tax information and habits. Do you know anyone that has been a victim of fraud? I've seen my parents, just personal story, a couple of times have had their information stolen through digital means. And I guarantee you, if you ask around, it's pretty common. So people have had direct experience. I don't think you'd have to ask too long before finding someone. Personal information. So what types of personal ID do you have on you right now? You got your driver's license, you got debit and credit cards, and you have like your phone, as well as any ID card. Maybe you're not driver's licensed yet, or you have maybe a work ID or things like that. There's just more ID you can have. The information you can get from these is really exhaustive. You get the name, address and telephone number, social security number in some cases, driver's license number, birthday, credit card number, bank account number. This is more than enough information for someone to steal your ID. So this doesn't mean we stop carrying phone, wallet, and keys. Like, we need these things to function, but it does show, hey, we got to be putting some defense mechanisms in place. Because thieves will access this personal information in a few different ways. They can just steal it directly from your purse or wallet. They can divert your mail. They can skim information. A lot of digital readers, people will install these secondary devices that can steal information. So whenever I walk into a gas pump, I always give the little credit card holder a shake to make sure there's nothing on top of it. And then there's also some methods online through your email or through your computer, things like that. And they use this information for new driver's licenses, new bank accounts, rent, taking out loans, getting cash out, or even getting a job. So again, really high stuff here, like really high importance, I guess, if you want to call it. What should you do to protect your personal information? Carry your social security card? No, do not do that. Just memorize it instead. Sign your credit and debit cards with signature and please see ID on the back. Yes, we do want to do that. It's honestly pretty rare for cashiers to do that, but even if there's a little chance, that way, if someone only has your debit card, they wouldn't be able to make a purchase without your ID. Shred personal documents before discarding them. That's a no-brainer. And then protecting or using simple PIN numbers. We want to avoid that. Just because there's some easy ones like 1234 or 0000 that everyone's gonna guess. I would encourage you though, that hand motion they're doing to kind of shield your PIN number, that's smart, whether you're at a bank or whether you're in line at a grocery store or something like that. A few more examples: keep personal records in a secure location. That's a good one right there. Post all your personal information on the internet. That's a bad idea. We've seen cases where people will post that they're on vacation, and then people know that they're not in their house, so they break in. Deposit, I apologize. Deposit outgoing mail in a secure post office collection box. Great idea, much more secure than the one in your neighborhood. Give out your personal information without initiating the contact. That's a bad idea. If someone calls you from your bank and is trying to verify information, ask to hang up and call them back, like through the bank's official line, so that you can make sure it's not a scammer trying to pose as your bank. Cut up credit, debit, and ATM cards and dispose pieces into separate places. Again, no brainer on that one right there. Finally, you want to be checking your credit reports. This is because people can manipulate your credit even early on. We've seen cases where kids' IDs have been stolen because no one's checking them because they're kids and they think they don't have credit. But then maybe when they're 16, 17, 18, they finally check and someone's been stealing their credit for 10 years. So want to encourage you to check those. That way you're monitoring any errors as they come up. And then in the case of a credit dispute or something like that, you want to verify that the information is coming from the legitimate sources. That's kind of what I talked about with like a bank calling to verify information. It's always best if you can initiate that contact through official phone numbers. That doesn't just have to be a bank. That can be a credit card company. It can be a mortgage company. I've seen a scam going around for like auto insurance or auto warranties or things like that. So you just want to be on top of the sources personally for your own well-being there. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to share with you today in terms of being wise with your credit and with your security surrounding it. This is a really big deal. We carry a lot of important information with us. And if that falls into the wrong hands, it can have long-term consequences. So there are government agencies out there like the SEC and the FTC that monitor this stuff, that are on your side trying to protect you. So my biggest encouragement is that if you do find yourself in a case of fraud or identity theft, reach out immediately to people that know this stuff more than you do. So that's going to be those appropriate agencies. That's going to be filing a police report. There are companies out there that can help you walk this out if that happens. There's also companies that'll kind of monitor your stuff preemptively for you to try and prevent fraud before it happens. So I would just encourage you that in our digital age, it is easier than ever for people to steal information. So be taking steps to protect yourself. And yeah, just really take charge of your finances. So we will see you in the next lesson.